How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Breathe, or Breathe, because it's quite often stylized with an exclamation mark. Not this box, though. Anyway, this is from 2008, directed by Don Murray, and stars Tim Abell, Cassidy Freeman, and Mick Murray. And before we dive into this movie, right off the bat, I gotta address the elephant, or in this case, shark, in the room. The box art here exaggerates. There are a few sharks in this movie, but it's really just like they're filming them, and then there's a cage diving sequence, and then they see a few sharks towards the end. It's not much, which kind of sucks for me because that's why I watch this movie. Once a week during the summer, I try to cover a shark movie for my Sharks of Summer series, and this week we're doing one that's barely a shark movie, so yay, lying box art. All that aside though, how's the movie? There's a few things some people will like, and I should address those first. One, this is a true story styled movie. So the events in here, these people getting stuck in a cave, who the characters are based on, that's real. And if you like say open water, that whole real ocean disaster subcategory, you guys might like this. And also, it does have extensive underwater filming. If you guys are big diving nerds, you'll probably get a kick out of it. And I know that this is super hard to do, having to have all your actors know how to dive, all your crew knows how to dive, having to film inside these caves, and getting the right lighting and shot angles in that circumstance. It's hard, and I can applaud them for all the work they did. So there are some people, the true disaster and the diving nerds, that might really like this movie. Other than that, though, this movie's not great. It acts super pretentious, like it thinks it's telling the biggest and best story ever, but the whole movie just feels awkward and cheap, and it didn't come out great. Really quick, non-spoilery plot summary. Basically, you get this couple, and they're all like active and athletic, and they're adventurous and cool. They meet each other and fall in love, and then they decide to go diving in this cave for lobsters, or as the lady calls them, bugs. Whatever. She dives for lobsters, and there's like a cave-in or something, and 3 people get trapped underwater in the caves, and now they're running out of air, and it's really tense, right? Well, let's talk about the things that don't work. One, this movie is way over-narrated, and the narration, again, super pretentious. He's talking about diving like he's a wine snob, and he's like watching her dive and thinking things like, she's good, but does she have potential to be the best diver ever? And it's like, dude, chill out. Let's tone it down a bit. I don't know who cares this much about diving outside of a very small group of people, and this is way too intense. Second, why the diving scenes are super technical, and I can applaud them for that, the rest of the movie looks really cheap. And the thing is, it's how it looks cheap. It looks like a cheap soap opera. So it looks professional, it looks like people knew how to operate their equipment, but everything's just so standard and so overlit, it doesn't look interesting or dynamic. And yeah, it took me a minute to try to figure out, okay, why does this look bad? But it really does have that cheesy soap opera feel to it. And then you get the acting, and the acting's pretty uniformly kind of wooden and awkward, like it never quite feels human and realistic. And because it's uniform, I have to think that's either the casting or the director or something, but it's all super stilted, and they're not given great stuff to work with. Because again, the script's just getting these characters that it thinks are so big and and so awesome, and so much of the dialogue is like, yeah, I meant so-and-so. He's also a cop and has the biggest house and has won several medals for his diving. It's just weird, you know? And again, the acting doesn't feel natural. Now, in regards to the film's biggest strength is, yes, we did accomplish very hard technical underwater filming, and some people might really like that. And I did think it was cool for a couple minutes. And that's sort of the problem, is it lingers, you know? You're underwater, you see the scuba divers, you see some fish getting really close to the camera, and you're like, that's cool. It's cool, but is there enough material to stretch it out for most of the movie? No. So many times I'm like, oh, they're still swimming through the caves, oh, they're still looking at the fish, and it's not enough. Like, it's not interesting enough to watch an 80 or so minute movie that is mostly just people floating around in the water. It seems aimless, and that kind of translates to, like, when they get lost in the caves, you know, they can't talk, so they swim around, and you're not super certain what's going on, and they just kind of wander around, seem to be stuck, and then they find an air pocket and they talk, and so much of that initial lost scene is just dive, 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 air pocket, talk for a little bit, dive again. And it doesn't have good enough pointers to the audience so that we can follow along and understand what happened. Like, there are some of their diving masks that have radios, and it really should have been all of them. I know people say underwater radio in movies are like way more than their real world capabilities. I don't care. You need those radios, because without them, I'm just watching people float around underwater, and it's just like, okay, they're still wandering around the caves. So overall, it's cool, but it can't drive the whole movie. And yeah, this one was a bit of a letdown. Again, felt like a weird, stiff soap opera. It had a cool gimmick that couldn't keep my attention the whole time. And again, lying cover, that's never great. So overall, I will say, if you're into the true story disaster movies, or if you're like super big into diving, then maybe check this one out. But if you're the shark crowd like me, and you want something really dynamic and intense, no, this is pretentious and doesn't know that it's not that great. Overall though, watch it if you wanna, I don't care. But to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom if you guys want to see more movies kind of like this. You can check it out there. Anyway, have a good day. See you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist here. Have a good day now.